Speak English anyway, a place where confidence matters more than perfection, and every voice deserves to be heard.
Hey people, I'm Linda.
And I'm Ethan, and today we're talking about one of the most frustrating experiences in the entire English learning journey.
One of the most genuinely confusing ones, too, because it makes no logical sense, and yet it is extremely common.
It is so common that we could probably do a survey right now, and half the people listening would say, yes, this is me. This is exactly me.
The experience is this. You watch a show in English, and you understand it. You listen to a podcast in English, and you follow along. You read something in English, and it clicks. You get it. The language is in there.
It is clearly in there. You have proof. The understanding is real.
And then someone speaks to you in English, or you try to say something, and your mouth opens and
Nothing comes out, or what comes out is so slow, so wrong, so far from what you wanted to say, that it feels like a different person is speaking.
a much less competent person who definitely does not understand English as well as you clearly do.
A completely different person who apparently has never seen English before in their life.
And you think, how? How can I understand everything and produce almost nothing? Am I broken? Is this a specific kind of broken that only I have?
It feels very specific and very personal, like a failure that belongs only to you.
But it does not. This is one of the most universal experiences in language learning. And today, we want to explain why it happens and, more importantly, what to do about it.
What to do about it, because understanding the problem is satisfying, but solving it is better.
Always better. Okay, Ethan, do you remember when this was you, the understanding everything, producing nothing phase?
Do I remember? I remember it extremely well because it lasted longer than I would like to admit.
How long?
About a year where I was genuinely convinced that I understood English quite well. I watched shows, I read articles, I felt confident in my comprehension, and then anytime I needed to speak, in person, on a call, anywhere, I would freeze and produce approximately 4 words and a noise that was not really a word.
A noise that was not really a word. I know that noise.
Everyone knows that noise. It is the noise your mouth makes when your brain has given up on finding the sentence and is just stalling, filling the air with something that sounds vaguely like language.
Vaguely like language. And the worst part was, I knew the words in my head. I could see the sentence I wanted to say. I could read it in my mind. But between my mind and my mouth, there was this enormous gap, and I could not cross it.
The gap. That gap is the whole episode today. What is it? Why is it there? And how to close it.
Okay, so why does this happen? Let's explain it properly, because I think once people understand the actual reason, it stops feeling like a personal failure and starts feeling like a very solvable problem.
A very solvable problem. Okay, so here's the key idea. Understanding a language and producing a language are two completely different skills. They use different parts of the brain, they are trained separately, and they develop at different rates.
Different parts of the brain. So when you understand English, you're using your receptive skills, listening, reading, taking in, processing. Your brain has gotten very good at recognizing English patterns and extracting meaning from them.
It has had a lot of practice. Every show you watched, every podcast you listened to, every article you read, all of that trained your receptive skills, and they are strong.
They are genuinely strong, and that is real. That is a real achievement. But speaking is a productive skill, and productive skills need completely different training.
Because when you speak, you do not just need to recognize a word, you need to retrieve it, actively, under time pressure, while thinking about what you want to say, while managing grammar, while monitoring your pronunciation, while responding to another person who is waiting.
While responding to another person who is waiting, that last part is important because the pressure of a real-time conversation adds a layer of difficulty that reading or listening simply does not have.
No one is waiting when you read. You can take as long as you need. Reread the sentence. Think about it. The text is patient.
The text is extremely patient. It will wait there forever. But a person in a conversation, even a very kind, very patient person, creates a feeling of time pressure that changes everything about how your brain works.
And under that pressure, your brain needs to retrieve language automatically, without thinking, just like you retrieve words in your first language, instantly, without effort.
And in your first language, that retrieval is automatic because you have been practicing it your entire life. You have spoken your first language millions of times, in every situation, under every kind of pressure. The words come out automatically because they have been retrieved automatically so many times that it is now muscle memory.
Muscle memory. We said this in episode 7 about shadowing. The mouth needs its own memory, and that memory is built only one way.
Only one way, by speaking. Actual speaking, out loud, again and again, under conditions that resemble real conversation.
And this is where most learners have a gap in their training. They have trained their receptive skills beautifully, hours and hours of listening and reading, and they have trained their productive skills very little.
Very little, because speaking is uncomfortable. Speaking requires vulnerability. You can read in private, you can listen in private, but speaking, especially speaking to another person, requires you to be seen, to be heard, to be judged.
And the brain knows this, and it finds reasons not to do it. I will speak more when my English is better. I will speak when I feel ready. I am not ready yet.
The waiting to be ready loop, which we talked about in episode 4. You cannot speak your way to readiness without speaking. Readiness comes from speaking.
Readiness comes from speaking, not from more listening, not from more reading, from speaking. That is the only path.
The only path. Okay, so what do you actually do? How do you train the productive side? Let's get specific.
Step 1. Start speaking to yourself. We said this in episode 11, but it belongs here even more, because talking to yourself is speaking without the pressure of another person waiting.
No one is waiting. No one is judging. You can be slow. You can be wrong. You can restart your sentence 4 times. Nobody cares. Nobody is there.
And it sounds like a small thing, but talking to yourself in English every day, narrating your morning, thinking out loud, describing what you see, that is active retrieval practice. You are practicing pulling words from your brain under zero pressure, and that makes pulling them under real pressure much easier later.
Much easier, because your brain has the retrieval path already. It has done it before, maybe slowly, maybe imperfectly, but the path exists.
The path exists. Step 2. Output before you feel ready. This is the hard one, but it is the most important one. You need to speak English to a real person before you feel ready.
Before you feel ready. Not after, before.
Because readiness in speaking is not a level you reach through preparation. It's a feeling that comes through action. The more you speak, even badly, even slowly, even with mistakes, the more your brain builds the retrieval pathways, the more automatic the language becomes.
Every conversation you have in English, every single one, however short, however imperfect, is training, is building, is closing the gap between understanding and speaking.
Closing the gap. And step 3, use what you already know instead of reaching for what you don't.
Yes, this is a trap so many learners fall into. They try to say exactly what they want to say in English, the full thought with the perfect vocabulary. And when they can't find the words, they freeze.
But what if you said a simpler version of the same thing? A version made entirely of words you already know and can retrieve automatically.
You get the thought across. The communication happens. The conversation continues, and you do not freeze.
Because communication is the goal, not impressive sentences, not perfect vocabulary, getting the idea from your brain to the other person's brain, however you can, with whatever words you have.
With whatever words you have. And those words grow every time you use them. Every time you speak, they become faster, more automatic, more available.
More available. Step 4, find a low-pressure speaking practice. Not a formal class if that feels too high pressure. A language exchange partner, an online speaking practice community, an app where you can record voice messages. Even this podcast, you can pause and respond out loud to what we say. Nobody is listening, but your mouth is practicing.
Nobody is listening, but your mouth is practicing. That is actually a beautiful way to use a podcast. Pause, respond, out loud. Even if it is just one sentence, your mouth is in the conversation.
Your mouth is in the conversation. And step 5, be patient with the gap because it closes. It does close, but it closes through practice, not through time.
Not through time. Sitting and waiting for the gap to close does not close the gap. Only speaking closes the gap.
Only speaking. There is no shortcut, no app, no course, no technique replaces the simple act of opening your mouth and letting English come out, imperfectly, slowly, bravely.
Bravely. Okay, word tour time.
Let's go. First word, receptive.
Receptive means receiving and processing, taking in information. Receptive language skills are listening and reading, the skills you use to understand language.
For example, her receptive skills were excellent. She understood everything she heard. Or, receptive skills and productive skills develop separately and need different kinds of practice.
Receptive. Repeat. Receptive.
Receptive. Next, productive.
Productive in language means creating and outputting, making language rather than receiving it. Speaking and writing are productive skills.
For example, he had strong receptive skills but weak productive skills. He understood everything but struggled to speak. Or, productive skills only improve through production. You have to actually speak and write.
Productive. Repeat. Productive.
Productive. Next, retrieve.
To retrieve means to get something back from storage, to actively find and use information that is already in your memory.
For example, speaking requires you to retrieve words automatically under time pressure. Or, the more you practice speaking, the faster your brain can retrieve the words you need.
Retrieve. Repeat. Retrieve.
Retrieve. Next, vulnerability.
Vulnerability means being open to being seen, judged, or hurt, exposing yourself to possible criticism or embarrassment. Speaking a second language requires vulnerability because you are visible and imperfect.
For example, speaking in public requires vulnerability. You cannot hide behind a screen or a text. Or, the discomfort of vulnerability is exactly where the growth happens.
Vulnerability. Repeat. Vulnerability.
Vulnerability. Next, retrieve.
Oh, we already did retrieve.
Yes, we did. I was testing you. Moving on. Automatic.
Automatic means happening without conscious effort or thought, something your brain or body does by itself without you deciding to do it.
For example, in your first language, words come out automatically, no thinking required. Or, the goal of speaking practice is to make English production automatic.
Automatic. Repeat. Automatic.
Automatic. Next, output.
Output means what you produce. In language learning, output is speaking or writing, the opposite of input, which is listening or reading.
For example, most learners get a lot of input but very little output practice. Or, output is uncomfortable, but it is the only thing that closes the gap between understanding and speaking.
Output. Repeat. Output.
Output. And last one, pathway.
A pathway is a route or channel. In the brain, a neural pathway is a connection between areas that gets stronger the more it is used.
For example, every time you speak English, you strengthen the retrieval pathway. Or, the more you use a language pathway, the faster and more automatic it becomes.
Pathway. Repeat, pathway.
Pathway. 3 actions for this week.
Action 1. Speak to yourself in English for 2 minutes every morning this week. Every morning. Out loud, full voice, narrate. Think out loud. Describe what you see, whatever comes. 2 minutes every day.
Action 2. Find one low-pressure speaking opportunity this week. A language exchange app, a speaking practice community online, or just pause this podcast right now and respond out loud to one thing we said. One sentence, out loud. Your mouth needs the practice.
Action 3. The next time you want to say something in English and you can't find the exact word, don't freeze. Say it with simpler words, whatever you have. Get the idea across. Communication over perfection. Every time.
Communication over perfection. Every time. Quick recap.
Big idea 1. Understanding and speaking are 2 completely different skills that develop separately. Strong receptive skills do not automatically produce strong productive skills.
Big idea 2. Speaking requires active retrieval under time pressure. That retrieval only becomes automatic through practice, through actually speaking.
Big idea 3. The gap between understanding and speaking closes only through output, not through more listening, not through more reading, through speaking.
Big idea 4. Start with low-pressure speaking. Yourself, a mirror, a language partner, pausing a podcast and responding out loud. Build the pathway gradually.
And big idea 5. Use what you have. Simpler words, shorter sentences, whatever gets the idea across. Communication is the goal, and it is always within reach.
Always within reach. Even today. Even with the English you have right now.
Even right now. Take care of your English.
And take care of your heart.
This is Linda.
And this is Ethan. You've been listening to Speak English Anyway.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. And remember, the gap between understanding and speaking is not a wall. It is a door. And speaking is the key. Use it.